Here we are. Here we are again. Hey there. Welcome to Brand Rewind Live, where we dish on brands that either hit or miss the mark. Welcome. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Denise Kegler. I'm coming to you from a very warm and humid Boston, Massachusetts, and my company is MDK Brand Management.
Hi, everyone. I am Brika Phillips Bell, and I'm coming to you from a hot and steamy Los Angeles, California, where it is 92 degrees, and I am with B3 Media Solutions.
Oh my goodness. And
Yes.
hello, everybody. I'm Patia Abdul Razak, and I'm coming to you from a very humid Harlem as well. And the name of my company is the Stylista Group.
I wish I could say it's humid here. I'm in Toronto area. It is not humid here this week. That was last week. Happy Indigenous Day for those of you in Canada. My name is Zoe Mitchell, and my company is Sharp Processes. Welcome, everyone.
Yay. So it's funny when we take a look at the national days that we celebrate, and usually for one day, there's multiple things that are celebrated around the world. And I usually pick one that catches my eye and I think is kind of funny. And the one that caught my eye that I think is kind of funny today is National Donald Duck Day.
Oh my God.
Who knew Donald Duck Day?
That's my Donald Duck impression. I don't know if you can hear it.
I heard it.
What are we supposed to be doing, Denise? Like, how do we celebrate this day?
It's all about embracing our angry waterfowl self.
Oh,
wow.
You know, we all have a side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
That angry side. What do they call him? They said he's your favorite short-tempered cartoon character. Our favorite cartoon character. So it's all about embracing our angry waterfowl. All right.
Well, I'll embrace it and shake it a little water off.
There you go.
So I do want to remind everyone, so you can post your comments about Donald Duck Day, but certainly we want to see your comments. We also want to know when you're here. So please post in the chat that you're here so we can give you a shout out where you're tuning in from. And then post your questions, because at the end of the show, we are going to go back and look at your questions and your comments and keep the show going. So we welcome your interaction with us. So on that note, Patia is going to kick us off.
Yes. So you ladies, this month is Pride Month, and I've been observing lots of not so great things in the media. There are some brands that, have a history of supporting in the correct way, but there's some brands that continue to do things that are a little questionable. And so my story that I wanted to talk about, and I'd love to hear what you guys think, is Burger King. Once again, Burger King is in the spotlight, but this time not for doing something that is, I don't know. Tell me what you think. So their Austrian stores announced that they will be serving a Pride Whopper with 2 equal buns, either 2 top buns or 2 bottom buns, until June 20th to promote equal love and equal rights. And the company announced this on Instagram. Now, you may be saying yourself, well, that's Austria. Does it really matter to us here in the US? But as we know, Instagram is worldwide. And so what happens even in a different country, if an international brand does something that people don't like, is that there's a worldwide response. So there were some people who thought that it was funny. Some people were like, oh my goodness, I think that is a little funny, but most people were offended. And they're being called out as being just another brand that is rainbow washing and not really taking Pride Month seriously. So what do you ladies think? Do you think that, this is something that someone should, just shrug off and say, oh, it's kind of hilarious? Or should the brand really, take a deeper look, a second look at this, and possibly not do something like this again?
I think that's a challenging one, because I understand. I mean, it would be hilarious to see it in person, and I understand why, but come on, it's a little silly.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's a little silly, and I don't really understand how it contributes to the overall cause.
And that is the thing. That is the thing. Most people who are offended are saying, maybe if they had tied it into, all proceeds from this particular but this particular sandwich goes towards an organization or something like that, then that is one way that they could have actually made this be a campaign that people would accept.
Yeah.
But it doesn't appear that that is what's going on here. Burger King has not responded even to people asking that question on social media. So I think that is where they probably could have done a better job of this.
Absolutely. I mean, isn't that social media 101 that you respond? Not only respond, but respond in a timely manner.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they need to do that. And something else comes to mind, too, as you were talking about the story, is I wonder if they conducted focus groups. Either
They just all the time.
Yeah, just find out. How's it going to go over? That's not
Exactly.
that's not rocket science to find out. Oh, we did this. What do you think would happen? And
Exactly.
Maybe they did. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like they probably did.
I think it's just distasteful. Like, I don't see how that shows your support for the LGBT community at all. What do buns have to do with support? Unless, again, you're showing the proceeds are going to support.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Exactly.
That shows reflects nothing. No, that's a money grab.
And something else, I feel like, the brands that I respect and take seriously don't only do this for the month in question. It's something that they do year round, and they may highlight something extra that they're doing. But if you're really supporting a cause, you just don't do it for a day or a week or a month. It's something that's part of your company culture.
Yeah. I love Cheryl's comment. She said brands who use a day are taking advantage. What do they do throughout
the year? Exactly. So Carol and I are on the same page. Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly the point, is that this can't just be like once every June, let's get together and do one specific campaign, or like whatever the day is.
Right.
This has to be a lifestyle. It has to be, if you're really truly being a part of the community and moving things forward, you have to do that like 365. Like, this is what you live. It's a part of your culture, not a stunt.
Yeah.
And it's not that's exactly a great word, stunt. That's exactly what this is. This doesn't demonstrate how they're supporting internally. What does their organization look like? How are they supporting the LGBT community outside as their customers? That's not supporting customers. It's not supporting employees. So what is it representing? It's a stunt. I think that's an excellent word.
Yeah. No, that's a good point, Zoe. And something you said also makes me think about that I don't know, the focus group thing, but here's something. We all have our own companies. We do content calendars, social media content calendars, marketing calendars. It's not like this day just popped up.
Yeah.
Right. So they should be sitting down, to your point, about planning and planning out everything, not just this particular month, but all the months. So it doesn't look like it just, came out of the blue and wasn't thought out or thought through much. But as I think Patia, you said this, it's not like we're bashing Burger King, because obviously it's a big brand. It's been around for a long time. I don't eat meat, but I love French fries. I like chicken. I do eat chicken, but I think they didn't do well by us with this, for sure.
No.
I think, to your point, the global aspect of the brand demands more responsibility.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And Patia, to your point, I just wanted to bring up, like, just even within the LGBTQ plus community, like, for their Pride celebration, I've even noticed kind of some of the things that I've seen, and so I just kind of wanted to share this. This is actually a real TikTok that came from LGBTQ plus creators when they were working on their Pride Out campaign. So if you're not familiar with that campaign, it's basically a lot of LGBTQ plus creators felt that they were being silenced. And so to symbolize that, they put their hand over their mouth, as you see here, and you can see that they're mostly a mixture of white identifying males. There are some females, but I think what was interesting about this that you may not be aware of is that this is also the symbol that is used by the women, the missing and murdered Indigenous women. So MMIW, this is their international symbol. So there was a lot of backlash that happened around that. Not that it's not an important cause, because we don't want those voices to be silenced, but it overshadowed the work that was being done with the MMIW, and they're trying to fight for representation and have a voice among the people, especially at a time right now in our nation when so many women, Indigenous women specifically, are going missing and being murdered, and no one's doing anything about it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So even within the community, you know, we were seeing, you know, everybody's trying to have a cause, but like there is some kind of recognition that I feel like we all have to have, and some responsibility as a brand and even as a nonprofit organization to make sure that we are being cognizant of other things that are happening outside of what we're trying to promote or do.
Absolutely. I think that the part that hit me the most is this has been such a struggle to get support to help find and support the families of missing women. So to steal that, you know, just take that spotlight away and use it elsewhere, that's a really, really painful thing to do. Yeah, that's really painful.
And it makes you wonder, like, doesn't anybody do any research?
Exactly what we're talking about, right? Focus on research. I mean, that just comes with the territory.
Right.
So I do want to, before we move to the next segment, let's just acknowledge we have some folks on. We've got Fawn Thurman from Brooklyn. Hey there, Fawn. Thanks for being here. Cheryl, we talked about Cheryl earlier. We've got Pop Research and Aliana. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Welcome back. I see some
back.
Yeah.
Yes, familiar faces. What do we call it? We got our when people come back over and over and over again? What's the not fan club? Because that sounds too pretentious.
Our repeat visitors.
Our repeat visitors are raving fans.
Our regulars.
Our raving fans.
Our regulars.
Our brand rewind regulars.
There we go. Brand rewind regulars. I like that.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay, ladies. So let's move on to our next segment. It's called Ripped from the Headlines. Yeah. And in this segment, we usually just spotlight some brands in the news that have caught our attention. Sometimes it's in a good way, sometimes it's in a not so good way. So Zoe, what do you have this time around?
Oh, something Canadian for you. So this is tongue in cheek, right? What the puck? It is really one. It affects all of us, and this is why I wanted to share this story. So Tim Hortons, for those of you who don't know, is it's like the largest quick service coffee and food chain here in Canada. They're in 15 different countries with almost 5,000 stores and locations, just to give you a volume and a size of them. And what's happened recently is they were under federal and provincial investigation under the Privacy Act. So it's found that Tim Hortons has an app, like most other brands do nowadays, where they're trying to encourage customers to do pre-orders for product and then pick them up before they enter the store. And what they didn't tell their customers is when you use the app, we're going to use geodata tracking. And for those of you who don't know what that is, that's when the software is actually tracking where you go. That includes where you live, where you work, where your friends are, what you do for your daily basis. And what was happening was people would come into the locations, pick up their coffee, Timbits, and whatever else, leave and not realize they were being tracked because the fine print didn't disclose it. So what's happening now is it's been about 2-year investigation, and yes, Tim Hortons has agreed to delete the data, and so has the third-party software. However, now they're being sued by customers who are now finding out about this gap in the fine print. So it speaks volumes from a brand perspective. Was that information really that valuable? Because it's going to cost you a lot more now, including company trust. Or
oh my God, that's horrible.
Yeah. And it speaks volumes because it makes you start to think, what other apps out there are doing
that?
Right.
We are not aware of from a customer perspective. So as a brand, heads up, it's better you ask for it because it's going to cost you in the long run. So I will leave it there if you have anything else to add.
And Tim Horton, he's a Canadian hockey player, or was a Canadian
That's
hockey
a Canadian hockey player. Yeah. The chain is like 68 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is
It's
he
big.
still around? Is he still
No, he passed away in the 70s.
I guess if you're 68 years old, the
Yeah.
brand itself, then he would have been.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh my goodness.
talk about a doozy. This is like terrible. But it just makes you wonder. And from a government standpoint, what are the laws to protect us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scary.
That is scary.
Absolutely. I'm going to kick it off to Barika.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that, Zoe, and scaring me about my data privacy again.
Right.
So in the vein of Pride Month, I also have to bring up Juneteenth. You know, it's the new holiday that everyone has a actual day off, a federal holiday now, and I think we all know that it stems from the people in the southern states not knowing that they were actually emancipated and then finding out later that they were emancipated. So of course, now that this is kind of a new resurgence of people celebrating that, we have brands that are also chiming in, and similar to the Pride Month, you know, things go awry. So I had to share this video with you simply because I just thought it was something that I thought was interesting that came from Trevor Noah. So let me share that with you.
Federal holiday, more people are celebrating than ever before. The only problem is not everyone knows the best way to celebrate.
Walmart is under fire for selling Juneteenth products that some people say are tone deaf and insensitive. The products have been lambasted by many online after pictures of Juneteenth ice cream and party supplies surfaced.
The Children's Museum of Indianapolis is apologizing after backlash to a Juneteenth-inspired food item in its cafeteria. The museum offered the Juneteenth watermelon salad. The museum released a statement saying, in part, as a museum, we apologize and acknowledge the negative impact that stereotypes have on communities of color.
Okay.
No,
So
this is what I mean about people not talking to each other.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Watermelon salad, you guys. Come on. And it says Juneteenth watermelon salad. Like seriously. And this is a children's museum. I was like, I can't even begin to talk about who on the menu committee decided that this was a good idea.
Yeah,
like,
no, I can't either. I can't either.
Like between that and like I don't know who has a team of people that are actually coming together to think through these things. Like it's absolutely ridiculous.
They're not thinking through those things. And the thing is, a watermelon salad is fine if you just want to serve it, but to brand it that way and attach it to the specific celebration is tone deaf. It is.
It's absolutely 100%. You are absolutely right, and I agree with you, Monique. A museum should know better. A children's museum should know better.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if it's a lack of not having people on the committee or your team that has, you know, that is African American or is sensitive or an ally or I don't know.
Or even able to use their voice, because how many of them were sat there and knew this was wrong?
People aren't.
Couldn't say it.
That's a problem. Right?
That's true. I could see that. I think you're right, Zoe. There might have been people who were in the room, maybe, perhaps, but did not feel confident or feel that they would be supported. Because Lord knows I've been there, although I kind of spoke up, and you know whether that's a good or bad.
Or did they get ignored?
Yeah, or they get ignored. So they sit back and they're questioning their own ability to speak up. It's not good.
Yeah. It really isn't good. I have to agree. I definitely agree with this comment. Sometimes it's hard to speak up when you're the only one in the room.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Absolutely.
It's true.
And that's why I think it's really important to make sure that everyone has a voice, like, you know, a seat at the table and a voice, especially in a corporation, because you have things like that are tone deaf that, you know, just really rub people the wrong way. So, and with that, I'm going to kick this over to Patia. So
yeah, I just want to say one more thing about this, you guys. Sure. I feel like every year this happens. 10 years ago, it happened. it's probably going to happen next year again. Like, why aren't people paying attention? Okay, you made the mistake once, or somebody made the mistake once. Why aren't people paying attention to, what happens when people do certain things and they get called out? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Accountability. I think
People
there's a
just
lack
don't
of it.
care. Is that it? Or, it's just really concerning. It's a problem because this is repetition here. It's not that these things happen once or twice and they go away. It's like decades later, they continue to happen.
And to your point, why aren't they learning from someone else's mistakes?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, isn't that one of the reasons we created this show? To
Right.
bring stories out there so we can learn from what other people are doing, both good and bad.
And bad.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Okay, so my ripped from the headlines. I went international this week. There's a retailer in the UK called Superdrug who last week froze an additional 30 items to make a total list of 130 items of products that they're not going to raise prices on. And they are trying to really help their customers because they did some research, right? We talk about research a lot on this show. There are actually people who are doing research and found that 80% of their customers were having to switch to less expensive brands because of inflation. And so their response was to help them out by freezing 130 items. Like, I thought that was an incredible story. And it's also the kind of decision that will serve them well in the long run.
Yeah.
Because those customers will remember this. And when things get better, they will continue to support that brand. Right. And I was thinking to myself, if we should be so lucky here in the US, I mean, it's great. It would be a great example for us to follow, right? I mean,
could we get gas prices to like freeze and then like is there a company that can help us out on that end? That would be awesome.
Exactly.
Wow.
So that was just, something very different that I thought, wow, there are people out there who are paying attention and who actually care about their customers.
I love that story.
And what a great story for the brand.
That was definitely
We
good
care.
brand win for me. Okay, Denise, what do you have?
Okay, so you girls know this, so let me just share that I am a complete nut when it comes to anything that happens with the royal family.
Right.
I mean, I am so obsessed, might be a little bit too strong, but I kind of am. I love reading about what happens. I watched the Princess Diana's wedding. How many years ago I watched Meghan and Harry get married, and I'm just, it's my guilty pleasure. And so of course I had the Queen's Jubilee this past week, Platinum Jubilee, and I get these stories sent to my phone all the time because, once you open a certain story, now everybody knows that you like these stories. They're always popping up. So I read them, and I read about Meghan and Harry and William and Catherine and everyone. And what dawned on me is I'm thinking about the show and I'm thinking about the brands, these royal brands. I think, and one of the things I read about is how when, for example, when Meghan Markle married into the family, when Catherine married into the family, they couldn't necessarily bring their authentic selves to the family, and they have to act a certain way in public. And there was a lot of talk about that during the Royal Jubilee coverage. And I thought about that because you have to, when you marry into families, maybe there's a certain way you have to act, especially when you marry into the royal family. And when they're in public, are they really bringing their authentic selves to the public's eye, or their public visibility, or their public persona and brand? Maybe they are, but chances are they're not. And I started applying that to us, regular folks here in the US and around the world, when we go into work every day. Are we allowed to bring our authentic selves into work? And how does it weigh on us psychologically? And I saw a comment from, who was that? Someone made a comment about psychological, Cheryl. And it is. It's about psychology, about being feeling safe, psychologically safe. And there's this marketing term called code switching, and that does weigh on you psychologically. And it's one of the blocks that stop people of color and women from climbing up that ladder, because they lose something when they go into work and they're not able to bring their authentic selves. And it dates back, I think, to the 1960s, the term code switching. And I think, don't quote me, but I think it dates back to language. So people who bilingual, people spoke different languages, couldn't speak a different language when they were in the office because they were branded a certain way. And so let's think about that. Let's think about how we are bringing our authentic selves and how we want to support other people's ability and right to be our authentic selves when we're at work. And then someone else wrote, I think it was Pop Culture, who said Pop Research, who said something about being the only one around at the table. And it's hard to speak out, and it's hard to be your authentic self. It's hard to not code switch when you're one of the few.
Yeah.
And so I think my message here is let's support each other, being and bringing our authentic selves into the workplace, into our environment, whether it's work or play, because too many of us are not able to do that, and it does weigh on us.
It does.
It does.
100%. Yeah.
No, I have to agree with that 100%, because sometimes being the only one in the room, you feel like pressure either to speak up, and now you're speaking for the entire race and womanhood, or you don't want to speak up because if you say the wrong thing, you don't want to embarrass yourself, embarrass your race, embarrass women. Like there's pressure both ways, you know? So I totally agree with, we need to give space for people to be themselves authentically, because that's the only way that we're ever going to have something that's like real and that is truthful and really be comfortable with ourselves and who we are. So I agree with you.
Yeah. It's an ongoing conversation. I mean, we talked about hair one episode, right? We talked about wearing their natural hair, which most of us do here. And I, when I was in corporate, I did feel pressure to straighten my hair. But anyway, let's support each other. Even if it's only two of us around that table. Let's
absolutely. Absolutely, I agree.
100%.
Great point.
Yeah. So our next and final segment. I can't believe the time is gone already.
I know, so quickly.
It's called The More We Know. And this is the segment we like to give back and support all of you about brand questions you have. So if you have something you want to ask, please post it in the chat if you haven't done so already. But we want to take that time and give back to you and answer those questions, those burning questions that you have. I do have one question that was given to me in advance. So I'm going to throw this at the ladies. And if you post something in the chat and we can't get to it today, we will definitely follow up. The question came and it said, what can a company do to be proactively protecting their brand from big mistakes? And I will throw out two things. One, a whistleblower act. The second one, marketing checkpoints. We all mentioned it already. Where are your checkpoints before something leaves your door?
Yeah.
So I will leave that there. But the question again is, what can they do proactively to protect their brands?
Yeah, I'll add, because it reminds me of a situation I had many years ago at a company I worked for. It comes back to building relationships before something major happens, because when the thing happens, at least you'll have that circle of support. People will support you through whatever crisis you're going through, as long as you're building and nurturing those genuine, authentic relationships. People remember you, and they take care of you when the blank hits the fan. They'll be there to take care of you.
I also think that part of things that brands should be doing is just monitoring conversations about themselves. Like, like if you if I could tell you how many tweets people are putting out about the Walmart, the Pride things. Like, if you look at what consumers are saying, they'll tell the Walgreens thing that we brought up, they'll tell you they don't like it. You don't even have to do a focus group. It's great if you did it before, but you can see as a litmus test that people like something or dislike something or feel a certain way. And so while they may not be the majority, they are a strong minority that are vocal. And so you may want to take the time to analyze what people are saying and then make course corrections, especially if it's something that you're putting out into the world.
So definitely something to chew on. Hopefully that was helpful to folks who are watching us. Hopefully that was something that can help you as you're thinking through how to protect your business from something that might happen. So thank you, Zoe, for bringing that.
That was a great question. Absolutely.
Great question. Great question. So,
okay.
So Zoe, here we go.
Oh, I like Cheryl's comment. Creating listening panels, be authentic, with communities, and they will be honest with you. Absolutely.
Yes.
That is great advice. Okay, so we're almost at time. The time goes so quickly. If you need a brand rewind or you know someone who does, please shoot us an email at brandrewind@gmail.com.
Absolutely. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
For sure.
And thank you guys so much for being here. It was wonderful spending time with you. So if you didn't send us an email, please make sure you do so at brandrewind@gmail.com.
Now the Brand Rewind team is going to be taking a break for a bit, the month of July. So we are going to be here in 2 weeks on, what day is that? June 23rd.
23rd.
Be here, but just an early heads up that we are taking the month of July off. But we will be here in 2 weeks, June 23rd. So we will see you then. Thanks for being here. We appreciate your comments, your hellos, your questions. And we look forward to seeing you back here, Brand Rewind Live on June 23rd. See you guys.
Absolutely.
Everyone.
Thanks
Bye,
for joining us.
everyone. Thanks for joining us.